Good morning, YouTube adventurers, and welcome to another video from the Steve Adventure Academy. Today is the day that we came out from 4 days, 3 nights on the Fundy Footpath. And so this video is going to be unpacking the Fundy Footpath. We're not going to spend a lot of time unpacking the trail, the maps, the nutrition, the do's and don'ts. There's lots of videos about that. Haven't seen a lot of videos about what's in your bag at the end of the trip. What did you not use? What did you wish you had? Let's find out. Now, this is, there's standard disclaimers, blah, blah, blah. This is not legal advice. This is not medical advice. Things that I wished that I had, frankly, I didn't come up against any situations that I wasn't prepared for. Things that I probably should have taken that I didn't is a couple of feet of duct tape for blisters if those had occurred. And perhaps a first aid kit with a couple of bandages in case I had gotten splinters, cuts, burns, that sort of thing. That's not in here because I was really paring down the weight. I didn't even take a ferro rod. What? I know. It was really hard to leave it in the car. But I did take a pack saw that I didn't need, so we'll catch up to that anyway. So, I apologize for the production quality. We're indoors, which is kind of not our element. We're not really prepared for adventures indoors. So, let's get at it. The pack we took was a Marding top, mollied out, 75 to 80 liter. I used all of it. It was super difficult to pare things down to get it small enough, and you'll kind of see why. So, of course, you got to have your Mandalorian Patch, because when you're on the trail, you want to know that this is the way. Let's see. We had bucket, tilly, whatever kind of boonie hat. This one's just cotton. I do wish it was a fancier fabric, but it did come in super handy on the beach walks and photography opportunities. Check us out on Instagram at Survival Instructor. We'd love to share our photos with you. And also Steve Adventure Academy on Facebook. So there'll be photos coming out. We'll roll those out over time, but there are a lot of, wow, there's beautiful spaces on the footpath. It's everything you hoped it is as a photographer. Unbelievable. So, boonie hat, sunglasses. The sunglasses I did use on the one day today when we came out of the trail. I didn't use them at all on the trail. Mostly it was sunny, but the campsites are all very well shaded and protected, the ones that we visited. And the trail is very much, although it's along the coast, it's not very sunlight exposed. So I would have saved the weight and not taken sunglasses. Things we did also take, Ascent trekking poles. These are available. These are Woods Ascent trekking poles, 2-stage twist lock. You can see I still have my baskets. Wow, you can keep your baskets on the footpath? Yeah, you can. Tighten them on and put a little bit of real cheap super glue on the threads just to kind of lock it a little bit. Check often. The trail is ruthless, for sincerely and for real. Other things that I took on the footpath, of course, if you've watched this channel at all, you know I took an inordinately large knife into big knife country. Did I need a knife this size? Heck no. But it made some really great photos, and frankly, I don't go anywhere in the bush without a great big knife. If you can't shank a muskox, what are you doing? Moving on. Other things we took into the footpath. We'll unpack the cap here first. The cap's going to be the knick-knack, paddywhack, give that frog a loan kind of stuff. So, tripod and the little slide clip that holds the phone so that you can get those selfies and hiking partner included shots with a remote control. That is not real heavy, but definitely worth it. Very small headlamp. This is about 12 lumens. This particular brand is Cyclops. Runs on the CR2032 batteries. There's a pair of them in there. So the extra batteries are small and light. The light itself is small and light. And this is all you need in the bush. The moon was full during our hike. And so we really probably could have read the newspaper in the pitch black. But a little bit of working light is nice. Because I'm hammocking, I use a helmet cover with a piece of cord tied on the end. The cordage, so the carabiner. This way you can clip onto your guy wire, sit down in your hammock, take your boots off, and your boots aren't on the ground. They're up under your tarp off the ground, and they're very easy to reach. So this is a great little gizmo. The other thing I like this bag so much for is When you get home, it's very likely that your boots' tread are going to be full of dirt and loam, that kind of stuff that you don't want to track all through the house. So packing up your boots in something that's breathable and will let that dirt dry, but keeps it in a contained space and still lets the moisture from your inside your boots evaporate is a really, really powerful tool. It's also much better for your relationships. Did you just track dirt through the house? I just swept. What are the odds of that happening? Insect repellent. This one is Pi Active. It's Acaridine is the active agent. It's a fantastic product. Do your research, and you can probably save a couple of bucks if you buy the chilled version. The concentration of compounds inside is the same for the children's version as it is for the adults. In my part of the world, it's often $1 cheaper. I bought that before I knew this. But I poured out all but enough for a couple of days, save the weight. Didn't use it. But if it hadn't been the middle to the end of September, I would have needed it in spades. It also doesn't attack nylons or plastics, so look, Pi Active, check it out. Other things you're going to see a lot coming out of are Ziploc bags. I used a lot of Ziploc bags to compartmentalize my various breakfasts, suppers, snacks. Really, it just made it easier repacking. When you're packing this light, what I've found for myself is that you're gutting your pack. You're using everything in it every time you stop for the night. And so repacking and having to package things, it's very difficult, and it's hard to find things in a bag this big. So I basically compartmentalized a lot of my stuff, tchotchkes, gizmos and stuff, into Ziploc bags. The nice thing about Ziploc bags is it gives you something to pack out your stuff if you had to pack it out. You've got extra Ziploc bags for that. Dirty clothes, your clean clothes becomes a dirty clothes bag, yada, yada, yada. So we took a very absorbent paper on a roll. I wonder what it's for. You'll use it for all kinds of stuff. Well, I used one that would be good up here and good in other spaces. Makes good tinder if you have to. It doesn't weigh hardly anything, but takes up a lot of space, so I use partial rolls. You just snag the partial roll out of the other room when it gets to the level that's appropriate for swishing. Soap packets, the little leaflets, I only used a couple. And these little towels, these are called micro towels. These are essentially, they look like a white mint. They become a face cloth when you add water. It's really nice to be able to just kind of spritz and get things squared away. I took a full-on tinder kit. I didn't know how much time we'd have at the campsite, so this one's got fire and steel, those sorts of extra abilities in case we wanted to fool around the campsite. Doing the footpath is super unlikely that you're going to have a campfire because you won't have time to collect the wood. You're going to want to take pictures. You're going to want to eat. By the time you get into the camp, it's probably that you're pushing the last couple of hands of light before you pack it in for the night. So, tinder kit, didn't touch it. It's fairly heavy as well. There might be half a pound or more there. So, I probably wouldn't do that. Or if I did, it would be much smaller. Extra food bags. Sunscreen, didn't use it. I still think it's a good idea to take. And in the event that you are just doing the footpath and not doing some of the inland hikes like the Eye of the Needle, you might need sunscreen if you're fair complected like I am. However, you're in the shade a lot, you're around camp, it's dark, and then you're sleeping. So, would I take sunscreen? Definitely not this much, maybe not at all. Your vitamins and that sort of thing, those are just fun. Okay, that's the hat. We'll pop it open. Little gizmos you might have on your pack. So this is a Cabela's branded tick key. I've never seen a tick in the wild. Apparently they're really bad for some people. This is a great little gizmo. You just put it over the tick and then you slowly pull back until there's tension on the critter, and then she lets go and you can pull them off. Never used it, but it doesn't weigh anything. Super nice to have. Wool sweater. You're sleeping in it. This is part of your sleep system, but you're also using it when you get into camp. It's super valuable. I couldn't possibly say enough about a wool sweater. Merino will be better. This one's very scratchy, but you just gotta deal with it. It's too powerful not to take. Loft is king. I have a lot of cycling gear that is thermal, and none of it is very good for camping, with the exception of the base layers and also the tights for sleeping in. So a bag of clothes. It came back with a clean t-shirt that I didn't use, so I had one too many t-shirts. I came back with 2 pairs of socks that I didn't use. I took 6 pairs of socks for 4 days because keeping your feet good, if you haven't got your feet, you have no mobility, you can get into real trouble. Camelback Reservoir. I really like these things because they're convenient. So you can put as much or as little water in it as you like. It's in the hose, which is hanging out of your backpack. You don't have to stop to hydrate. I did manage to hyperhydrate on the first day, which meant a lot of unnecessary trips. And so you want to monitor your water intake, but better safe than sorry, particularly on day 1. So Camelback Reservoir. There are other brands. Personally, I think Camelback is the best. They were first to market. So what are you going to do? A sleep system. So I put my sleep system in a dry bag. What's fun about the Sea to Summit dry bags? This is the 20 liter. If you inflate it about as much as it is right now, and then roll down 7 folds, so 1, 2, down to 7, it will become an air pillow. So you don't have to carry a separate pillow. And your pajamas, so we say, that part of your sleep system is inside of here so that it's dry when you arrive. That'll keep it safe from moisture from you coming through the backpack because you're perspiring at a high level on the footpath. And also the air is quite moist. Things to have in there. I've got the orange level Arc'teryx base layer. This is almost the thickest one they make. It's very warm. It's got super long sleeves, and it keeps the wool sweater off your skin. So that's a really nice piece. Alpaca wool socks knitted by my mother, whom I am blessed to know and still have with us. Thank you, Mom. Lorna Lutz, she does amazing work. The alpaca socks are very nice. Alpaca toque, I use that quite a bit because when you arrive in camp, clearly you're quite moist. The buff did a good job of evaporating most of that moisture, but once it starts to really dry, you're going to want to switch it out. And so this is a nice tool. This is also going to add 4 or 5 degrees of temperature to your sleep system. And it's moisture wicking, antimicrobial, antibacterial. It checks all the boxes. Part of my sleep system that's normally in there but isn't for this purpose of this video is a pair of Sugoi tights, cycling tights. Pretty well the thickest ones they make. What I like about the cycling tights is you've got grippers usually in the waistband and also in the legs. So you put these on over your socks, and when you're climbing in and out of your sleeping bag for your necessary trip, your wool socks aren't shooting off into Never Never Land. Everything pretty well stays in place. So the tights are part of your sleep system. A super light shirt. This one you can almost see through. It's almost scary. This particular one is the Cabela's SureTech, but anything in the high moisture wicking, this one's the right color, of course. After 4 days, it doesn't have any sort of gamey smell. It has a little bit of probably somebody was wearing that, but not enough to be the least bit offensive, even if you went to a restaurant and had to sit next to a stranger. Foundation garments, we won't get too crazy about that. I would look at foundation garments with a long leg, so that if your thighs touch while you're walking, you're alleviating any potential frictions there because you are going to generate a lot of moisture. Extra shirt. That one did get worn. Stove. We could spend all day talking about the virtues of the wind burner. It's a little on the heavy side compared to a titanium pot, a micro stove, and then just the can of fuel. But what I like about this is it's one-stop shopping. Probably should do a video on that because we've got a minor mod in there you might really like. The Hennessy ASIM backpacker, ultralight backpacker with the smallest tarp. Tips here: get the lizards, get the snake skins for putting it away. It's a convenience item. It's also super nice to sit around the campsite with your hammock up, and it's just two little bars breaking up the scenery rather than having the whole curtain of your tarp and hammock. I cannot say enough good things about this. Wow. I don't sleep better anywhere than I do in the bush in that hammock. There's just nothing at all like it. This is the item. This is, in my mind, a luxury item. So this is the One Tigris 12 by 14 tarp. This is a spectacularly nice tarp. If you visit our Instagram at Survival Instructor, you'll see photos of this previously and some coming up. It's enormous. It weighs almost 3 pounds. The however is, on the Bay of Fundy, the weather can change faster than the COVID regulations. So you really need to be ready to respond to fog that's thick enough that you spread it on toast. The wind carrying fog as thick as this will soak your skin to the point where water runs down it. So it was really kind of a crapshoot to decide what to do with this. I took it. I didn't need it because we had perfect weather. However, if we hadn't had it and things had gone at least a bit sideways weather-wise, this would have been a trip saver, possibly a lifesaver. Hypothermia is not a joke, again, particularly not on the Bay of Fundy. Let's find out what's next. A couple extra buffs. These are just plain fun. You can swap them out if the one you're using is too wet. You can camo up. You can cover your face if the bugs are too bad and you don't want to put insect repellent on your face. Some folks are not happy about insect repellents that way. You can dry up with them and then hang them up to dry. There's almost no limit to what you can do. Pirate hat, a lightweight toque. If it's super cold through the night, you double them up over your face and get that balaclava to add extra warmth to your sleep system. They can really be a nice rescue or a nice luxury. So I had 3 buffs. Again, they don't weigh almost anything. Moving on, things that are on the pack. Titanium spoon. I don't really get whittling one when you can buy a titanium one for $3. This one happens to be the MSR brand and has the tools to work on my stove built into the handle. Generally, there's an extra carabiner with a length of accessory cord. The accessory cord goes around the tree, and then you can clip the carabiner into the carry hook on the back of your backpack and hang your bag so that it's touching the ground, but also in an upright position all the time so you can access all your pockets. Nice luxury item. You can do other things with it. Let's keep going. Let's go deeper. Let's get crazy. Hot core tent. Excuse me, not a tent. That'd be weird. Hammock and a tent. Hot core sleeping bag. This is the T200, and formerly I referred to them as cold core. They are inexpensive. It is quite heavy when you talk about a backpacking sleeping bag, insofar as it weighs. Their bags are pretty. This one's 3.2 pounds. The spec on the outside of the pack is actually very accurate, with the exception of the -10 rating. I can't imagine a world where you're getting to -10 with a T200. +10 is about right. +5, it starts to be a little cool, and then colder than that, it's going to be a long night, and you're probably going to see most of it. In a hammock, no, sorry, it's not -10 by a long stretch. Probably, without a good pad, 20 degrees Celsius. That's just the long and short of it. Hot core, if you see this video and you have a response that you'd like to offer, steveadventure@gmail.com, I would be delighted to talk about solutions. Because, wow. Anyway, it was a good price. It's a great bag. It stands up to moisture very well. It's 100% synthetic, so of course it's going to. The real saving grace with that bag is that the top layer, what would be the top in a normal situation, is where most of the insulation is. So in hammockers, if you've got a cold core, a hot core T200 bag like I do, flip it upside down, fold the hood, hill pocket / hood inside the bag, and you'll have more loft under you. 2 layers under is better than 1 layer over. Thinner, and then the thinner bottom will be on top. I really just couldn't go without my camo jacket. I wore it. I liked it. Things you can do, hammockers, if you have a jacket like this and you need to walk around once you're already in your sleep system, turn your jacket upside down, put your feet in the sleeves, fold the toes back, and you can walk around. If you hold your jacket, you can make short trips around for your necessary trip using the sleeves of your jacket as camp slippers. And then you just throw the jacket in the washing machine when you get home. Not a big deal, but really nice. So what else is in here coming off the footpath? A bag of wet socks from river crossings, garbage. Pack your garbage out, people. I know that we talk about this a lot in camping, but let's just take a minute and talk about garbage. You packed it in. It's now empty. It weighs way less than the weight that you accepted when you hit the trail. So take your lighter pack home with you. Suppose you have food left over and you don't want to deal with the bear factor or the squirrels or the chipmunks or what have you. By the way, we're pretty sure there's only 3 squirrels on the entire footpath. They just follow you. It's creepy. When you go, you'll see 3 squirrels. They follow you. So, your garbage. If there's food in here, it's just food until it starts to rot in the bear box when you left it behind. Wash it down the river. Bury it in a cat hole. Do something gently responsible other than feeding it to the wildlife, leaving it in a pile to attract coons and coyotes. But do something with it like you would with your feces. And not just leave it behind for someone else to deal with when it's bloated and even more disgusting. And then take the package with you. You can wash the package out in the river. I guarantee you that my Sawyer Mini is going to filter out your oatmeal and your teriyaki chicken way better than it does the decaying moose that's upriver from your campsite. It's not hard at all. If you saddled up for the footpath and you accepted the weight while it was full, man up. Take the plastic home. Just take a Ziploc bag and start collecting it for yourself. It's pretty easy. The shower curtain rings, by the way, were a failed experiment. We won't go into. Just know they did not work. Anyway, garbage. What else we got down here? We're getting down to the bottom. The legs, zip-off legs off my zip-off pants. These are a great idea. Pro tip. Little bro science for you. I can't figure out what's going on with my eye, folks.